Leo. Welcome to your end of March 2021 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. So I actually did do your reading in two parts, but I erased the first part because my camera was full of videos. I did that by accident, obviously. So I'm just going to start all over again. There is a full moon at the end of this month that is in this time period on March 28th, and it is at 8 degrees of Libra, and Libra is your third house, but because it is an early degree, those of you who are later in the sign, whether it's sun or rising, this will be in your second house of earned income, and you could see a boost to your finances, maybe some kind of a bonus or money that was owed to you, money that you have worked for finally coming to you. For the early degree, Leo, Sun, and Rising, this will fall in your third house of communication. So this could actually be some sort of news that arrives that gives you some kind of information that is related to siblings, brothers and sisters, or other or extended family members like aunts, uncles, cousins. Sometimes this can be like an ending with them. If you have been trying to get along with someone and they just keep double crossing you or what have you, you might see them in a new light, and that could be that what you're seeing. And then you're like, screw this, I don't need this. And there's also this possibility that you're like saying goodbye to neighbors. Maybe you're going to be moving house in a month or two. And so the Five of Cups is the central theme here. And the Five of Cups is a card of disappointment, where you may have been counting on something or someone and they disappointed you, they didn't deliver. So perhaps it was like a sibling or a neighbor. If this is, there are some cards. There's the Ten of Cups in reverse, and that is the card of marriage. So obviously it could be that sort of relationship. And in the past position, we have the Ace of Swords. And so I always see this as kind of somebody realizing the truth in a situation and that giving them that mental clarity, especially if they're being deceived and the other party is lying to them, even gaslighting you. It can be something where you're like, oh yeah, okay, now I've got their number. Now I understand exactly what they're trying to do here. And so you're not going to let them do that. You're like onto them, in other words. So this is the kind of thing that, like either, you finally can't ignore something and you have to just admit it, and that makes you sad, or a particular development happens that forces you to accept that there has been some sort of loss. Now, obviously, this is a card of bereavement, so this could just be the garden variety end of a marriage, the death of someone that is close to you, that you've been dealing with. Now, understand that this is for the second half of March, so this would have already happened, this type of experience. But because the Ace of Swords is involved, I can't help but think that for some people, this has been a long time coming, that you have, for some Leos, you have been kind of deceiving yourself to some degree and not really seeing all of the warning signs that something was amiss, and that has led you to, maybe feel a sense of disappointment, but that disappointment is a little bit, not say it's like totally fake. I'm sure it's real disappointment, but, you should have known that this was going to happen because there were all these other things that were going on that maybe you just kind of minimized. And one of the things about this card that I think is pretty important is that in some cases, this may be the best thing that ever happened to you. And that's why the two cups, there's like 2 cups behind the person that are upright. All those other cups are spilled and indicating that kind of loss. But there's like a silver lining. And it's kind of like, this loss is your gain, if you can see it that way. So you may be over dramatizing this loss, and you really are not admitting to yourself that you are free. And this is kind of evidenced by the higher message, because there's some kind of anxiety around this situation, and you're like honed in on the aspect of loss instead of saying, how has this relationship been? Has it been a good one where it just magically or suddenly turned bad? Or could it be that it was always pretty bad and you just were highlighting the good things? Ace of Swords is about mental clarity. So being able to see things as they really are is so important. Now, aces are beginnings, and if you have started a relationship with an air sign, so Libra is an air sign. I was just mentioning the full moon in Libra. Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius, which is your opposite sign. Now, this new relationship may have come as a rebound because of some other type of grief that you have suffered, either the grief from a divorce or the loss of a partner due to death. And maybe you have gone too soon into a new relationship, Leo, and that's what the Nine of Swords is showing you, is that you're trying to alleviate your anxiety through a new relationship instead of really mourning. And mourning is not wallowing in grief. It's kind of integrating that very sad, difficult emotion into your new reality, so that you're not just trying to escape the pain, but you're really trying to feel everything on the front end so that you can move on. What crosses you? The Ten of Cups. This is a card of happier days, when everything was harmonious. So, like for instance, with a divorce situation, there were happy times. There's probably, I'm sure most people who are in relationships, they have some good times. And what happens is that, especially if this other person has left you, you may overemphasize those happy times and say, oh, this is such a loss, instead of looking at the bulk of your experiences with this person. And that's what I'm kind of referring to when I say the 2 cups are left standing, is that even if you're the one who got quote unquote rejected or left, that person may have done you the biggest favor of your life, if you can only see it that way. Now, Leo has a reputation for having a very big ego, and I like to joke about that. Is it true? Well, I think that fire signs in general, and I'm a Sag, that we tend to really tout or showcase ourselves as individuals, as, creative entities. And so to other people, it can look like arrogance, it can look like, egotism. But a balanced Leo is not narcissistic or egotistical. A balanced Leo is very warm, is very generous, is very creative and playful. And you may be confident, but that doesn't mean that you are arrogant. So, being able to understand that that another person may have left you because of their own shortcomings, their own inability to love themselves, can be very important in getting over this if you were not the one to leave the relationship. But also with the Ten of Cups in the challenge position, there can be this feeling like I was just in that, I was in that happy place, and then all of this happened. And this happens sometimes with, bereavement of a partner passing. The other person may feel like, wow, why did this have to happen? I was so happy. And I felt like, I had my life where I wanted it. And then all of a sudden, it seems like all hell broke loose. Well, that's not really exactly how it happened. It happened because, it just, that's just how life is sometimes, is that things happen that we don't sign up for, on the conscious level. And it's, I was just talking to my partner about, he just went to a funeral of a good friend of his from childhood. And these kinds of things, seeing the widow and really, knowing that there was such great love there, that kind of thing can feel like everything else has been taken away, but it hasn't. It's the shock of the experience in the moment, and things can improve over time, but we have to allow ourselves to grieve. We can't just try to substitute people. People are not replaceable. And I understand if people they're so upset that they're trying to make themselves feel better. I totally get that. And I'm just saying that if you find that something isn't working, it's probably because you're not allowing yourself to feel that grief without getting consumed by it. Or perhaps in some cases you're overemphasizing it as, what is the problem altogether when there may be other things going on. Also look at family members and how they're coping. What's coming in is the Seven of Cups. Look out for any tendency to try to escape from your situation. This is a card of escapism, and it can come through substance abuse or muddled thinking, not being too prone to like fantasy versus the reality of the situation. They call it wishful thinking. I don't really like that term because I love wishing on things, but you know what I mean. Just that tendency to want to make something other than what it is. Maybe getting confused by all the things that you need to do because you can't focus, your mind can't focus. Ten of Cups in the challenge position can be empty nest syndrome. So if the Five of Cups is like, this can even be like multiple things happening at the same time, where you've gotten divorced and then your children have gone off to college, or your last child has gone off to college, and you feel like, okay, now what? What do I do with my life? Who am I? All these senses of identity, of everything else, and feeling that sense of like, I don't know. It's like your mind is scattered, and part of, you might feel uncertain right now. And that's natural if you have experienced something, especially if it was a major loss. It's it's understandable. But the outcome card is really nice. It's the Chariot card, and it's all about making a lot of progress, and perhaps in some cases even having, being very ambitious, which Leo always is, having self-discipline, having some kind of, success, a victory, that, may have taken a lot of your concentration to achieve. You may have done something that you were not, that was not easy under the circumstances, and having a lot of distractions around you. So you may have a centeredness and being determined to persevere. And this is a quality of the fixed signs, like Leo, is that there is an endurance, there is a constancy. So it's very difficult for things to, kind of compete with your attention ultimately, because you do have a laser-like focus when you want to. This could even suggest traveling, maybe getting a new car, knowing that you are the captain of your ship, that you hold the reins of the horse, instead of feeling like something is beyond your control. And I think that, with the Five of Cups, something may have shaken your confidence in this area and made you feel like you were the victim of fate. Or, I shouldn't say fate, but that you had a loss happen that you did not want, that you did not feel that you were asking for. And that may have been part of the reason that it felt so uncomfortable as well. Okay, that's what I have for you, Leo. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.